Well, hello again. This is Ray Morales with The Blind Spot. And today my guest is a couple. And the couple's name is Toni and Kevin Browm. So let's say hello. How you doing, guys?
Doing good.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Um, I tell you, if I was doing any better, somebody would have to slap me.
Yeah.
So let's get into this. Kevin, you are an Army veteran, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what did you do while you were in the service?
My first 2 years, I was in the infantry, and then I transferred, excuse me, over to EOD, which is explosive ordnance disposal, and I did that for the last 6 years that I was in.
Did you like that?
Oh yeah, blowing stuff up.
I bet that's a satisfying job, isn't it?
Yeah, very much. Yeah, I joined it 'cause I wanted the top secret clearance, but
Uh-huh.
blowing stuff up was a nice perk, was an added benefit to it.
Wow. So I know it's a dangerous career field too. I had a
Yeah,
friend in the Air Force that was in EOD, and yeah, it can be very dangerous if you don't be careful.
sure. Yeah.
So then what did you do after that? After you got out? How long were
After
you in actually?
I
How
was
long
in
were you in?
for I was in for 8 years total.
Okay. And
And when
then
I
what did
got
you
out,
do?
and then when I got out, I became a government contractor. I moved up to Northern Virginia, and my old first sergeant had a job up here, and I came up, and we did contracting for the DoD and the DOJ. We built IEDs, simulated IEDs, and we trained law enforcement, and we
Oh,
built them
cool.
for Army Green, for Navy Blue, stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, that's good. That's a very, I don't know the right word here. Um, Satisfying, I guess,
Yeah,
profession.
absolutely. Yeah.
Um, Gives you a little sense of comfort knowing that you've provided the expertise to those people so they don't get hurt.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was awesome.
And that was 18 years,
Yeah, I
wasn't
did
it?
that for 18
Wow,
years.
that's awesome. So, did you go in right out of high school into the Army?
No, I like most kids, I got in trouble and was an idiot for about a year and a half, 2 years, and then I woke up one morning and I don't know if it was God or what, but I woke up and I was like, what am I doing with my life? I've got to change. I've got to leave right now. And I went to a recruiter that day and I said, I got to leave. I'm not doing anything productive. I'm just being a bum. And he was like, well, do you like camping? And I was like, yeah. He said, do you like shooting guns? I said, yeah. He said, you should join the infantry. I said, all right, yeah, I'll do that. That sounds awesome. And then I got into the infantry and I was like, this is not for me, buddy. I got to do something totally different than this.
Yeah, that was unbelievable what recruiters will do to get you
Yeah,
in.
I know, right? You
Oh,
like
do you like
camping.
camping?
Yeah,
Well, who doesn't? Come on.
yeah, I know. You like shooting guns? Yeah, who doesn't like
Yeah, of
shooting guns?
course.
Come on, man.
Teenage boy, yeah, I love shooting guns.
Yep.
Oh, then you need to be in the infantry.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Wow. So after that, what do you think? What did you think about the Army? Did you like it?
Yeah, I
Obviously, you
did.
did. You
Yeah.
stayed.
Yeah, I re-enlisted twice. I I don't like where it's gone lately,
Uh-huh.
but that's a whole nother topic of conversation.
So let's get Tony's perspective of things. Tony, what did you think about it when he decided to go into the Army?
Well, we actually didn't know each other then.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, we've been married
Five
5
years.
years
Oh,
now.
okay.
So, yeah, we got married older, I guess, second marriage.
Well,
So, no, I
wiser,
didn't know him when he
older and
was a
wiser.
wild young man.
Oh, so that's a benefit to you then.
Yeah.
That's right. The army kind of set him straight. Now, my
Oh,
dad
that's
is
good.
a retired army medic. He was in for 30 years, retired
Oh,
sergeant
wow.
major. So some of the things that we had talked about when we were first dating were those things. Kind of grew up as an army brat, and so connected a little bit on that.
Hmm. So back to you, Kevin.
Yeah.
Um, how did you adapt to civilian life?
Um, it was pretty easy actually. When I first got back from Afghanistan, it was a little rough. But you know, by the time because I had almost a year after I got back before I got out, and I came up to Virginia, so um, in transition, it was a little strange in the beginning, like I said, but you know, I got used to it, and it calmed down, and it was all right.
Is a little slower paced than what you were used to in the Army?
Yeah, it was. I remember. So we got on a plane and we flew out of Kandahar and we landed in Canada. And I just, you know, it was snowing and it was crazy. And then we flew to Columbus, Georgia, and we got on a bus. And I remember I was watching a movie and I seen all these lights and all these roadsides and everything, and it was just overwhelming, you know, because in Afghanistan there's no power, you know,
Right,
out in these remote villages, you know, you have when the sun goes down, that's it. You know, so it was just, you know, that's where I spent most of my tour was, you know, out of these forward operating bases, you know,
right.
kind of in the middle of nowhere. So it was like, you know, I went in from a fob. 2 days later, I was on a plane, you know, and then it was an adjustment. I'll just put it that.
So it was culture shock.
Yeah, it was.
So tell me more about your time in the service. Did you did you have you were at forward operating bases, and what else did you do?
Well, so when I was in the infantry, I did a tour in Afghanistan or in Saudi Arabia in
Uh-huh.
1997. So that was my first opportunity to go overseas. That was a little weird. We
Where
guarded
were you at in
Patriot.
Saudi?
I was at I was at PSAB, Prince Sultan Air Base,
Uh-huh.
and then we went down into Riyadh, and we stayed in Riyadh at an Air Force base there, and then we guarded a Patriot missile site. That was actually the first time I heard of Osama bin Laden. Was in '97 because he threatened all Americans in the Middle East in '97. So we had to do Kevlar liners in our doors of our SUVs and everything, and
Uh-huh.
got put on alert. And I mean, not to get political, but you know, they caught bin Laden in Africa in '97, and we sat on an airfield for 2 days waiting to go get him. But Bill Clinton, I guess he was too busy doing whatever he was doing. He just decided not to send us, and they let bin Laden go. So that was frustrating, but
Yeah. And then it was how many years later that the Navy SEALs had to take him out?
yeah. Well, 4 years later, he planned
Yeah.
9/11, and then
Wow.
mm-mm.
Yeah, it's crazy politics, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Try not to get into it because it
Yeah, me too.
doesn't get anywhere.
No, because people just they'll dig their toes in the sand and then they won't move. They
Sure.
won't budge off of their own thinking and their
Yep.
mentality about certain things. So I stay
Yep.
out of it.
Yep.
I stay out of three things. I stay out of politics and religion,
Yeah.
and then the weather.
Yeah. 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 The weather's always wrong.
Yeah,
It's the one
you
job
never
people
can
can be.
predict it.
Yeah,
That's
they
for sure.
weathermen can be wrong every day of their lives and still keep their job. It blows me away.
But you couldn't be wrong in your job, could you?
No, no, not in EOD. It's basically we had a saying where it was initial success or total failure. You know, you know, and that was the thing was if you made a mistake, you wouldn't know it because you'd be dead. So you know,
Right. That has to be scary. It's
well,
always in the back
Be
of your
humble.
mind.
yeah, it's very humbling. It's a very humbling
Oh
job.
yeah, I'm sure it is. All right, well, let's move on.
Okay.
Let's see. So what do you like to do as far as fun? What do you do for fun?
Well, I used to play a lot of golf before my incident.
Oh, you
Um,
know what? They do have golf for the blind.
do they really?
Yes, they do. Uh, it's when you talk to your VIST and they send you to a BRC, you can talk to them up there at the BRC about that, because they do have programs for golfing, archery, kayaking. I mean,
Really?
Wow.
there's
Wow.
all kinds of things that blind people can do. It's just you have to do it a different way,
Sure.
and it does take different tools. As a matter of fact, a group of guys that I know right now are going down and they're going skiing down in Colorado.
Wow.
No kidding.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, yeah. There's all kinds of adaptive sports you can do. If you like to bicycle, they have tandem bikes that blind people can use. You have a pilot, and your wife could be your pilot. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Oh
that's
no,
something you
couldn't be
guys
the
can
work.
do together. Well, that's something you guys can do together,
Yeah.
on the weekends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
And guess what? The VA will give you a bicycle.
Really?
Oh, that
Those
was.
tandem bikes are very expensive,
Mm,
but if you really are serious about it, they will do it for you. They will get you anything you need.
No kidding.
that's
No
so
kidding.
great to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an amazing thing once you get involved in the blind community with the VA, because there are so many people out there that will help you. I know for a fact that I wouldn't be here doing this podcast if it wasn't for my fellow veterans and
Mm,
the VA.
Yeah. No,
So
that's
that's awesome.
amazing. It's
yeah,
just
it
good to
is
know that it's
amazing.
out there and
Oh
to,
yeah, see, and I didn't know.
yeah.
I was blind for almost 6 years before I even heard about a VRC.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so I'm glad I could tell you guys about it,
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's great.
absolutely.
point you in the right direction,
Yeah.
because it's probably the best kept secret the VA has.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we'll
Nobody will
definitely.
tell you. Yeah, nobody will tell you about it, and if you don't know to ask, you're just lost.
Right.
Sure.
And that's the way I was. So I want to get the word out and tell everybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh,
No, that's
and
great.
there are support groups out there for you too. So there's all kinds of support groups. You just have to know somebody to get you in, and that's another thing we can help you with. And I'll connect you with some of the. I'll give you some names that
Okay.
you can
Okay.
That's
contact.
great.
And one of the guys that I'm actually going to interview him. I've interviewed him before, but he's going to be a guest speaker at our support group tonight, and I'm going to give you the link to that so you can join in. But he just got through climbing Mount Everest. He's
Wow.
totally
Oh,
blind.
No kidding.
Totally blind.
incredible.
Yeah. His blindness came because he was shot in the face um, with a shotgun while he
Oh,
was hunting with friends.
Wow.
oh, wow.
Yeah, and man, he does everything. He's raised two daughters by himself,
Mm.
and he he, he drives on his farm um,
Oh.
with the daughters in the truck. They just tell him left, right,
Yeah.
slow down, speed up, and he'll drive them wherever he needs to do. And he actually builds houses. He's built an addition to his farm and house and all that. I mean, he's amazing.
Yeah. That sounds
And,
incredible.
That's really
and his name,
inspiring to hear.
it is. His name is Lonnie Bedwell. Just an inspiration to me. And but yeah, there's all kinds of things you can get involved with. Uh, there's a organization that I'm involved with. I'm the vice president of the Illinois regional group of the BVA. That's the Blinded Veterans Association,
Okay.
Okay.
and you join for a one-time month lifetime fee, and I think it's like 15, maybe $20. I don't remember how much it is right now. Might be 50, but that's for a lifetime. And but they have conventions every year you can go to and learn from other blind veterans, tricks and tips to get you by.
Mm.
And it's an amazing community that we have. And so you'll be finding out all about that.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're welcome. It's the least I can do is pay back, everything that has been given to me.
Sure.
Mm.
So I'll tell you, I'm going to do this a little different. let's see. What do you have questions about that maybe I can answer?
Well, one of the things I'm curious about in the
Hmm.
community is because Kevin has multiple concerns beyond being vision impairment. His
Hmm.
he had a pulmonary embolism,
Right.
cardiac arrest 3 times on
Oh my.
September 28th, 2022. Um, and then about a week or so later, October 6th, while he was in the hospital, he had the stroke, which that's when he started to go blind, completely blind.
Hmm. Okay.
But now his right hand is like you see a lot of stroke people have, where it's completely closed. The hand is completely closed. It's
Right.
tension in the right hand. His toes are also the spasticity is what they say it is.
Right.
So I'm just thinking about golfing, for instance. I wonder if there's adaptive equipment that helps with that in addition to the vision.
I'm
How
sure
many
they have it.
times?
Yeah, I'm sure they
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
Um, the they have amputees at golf,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I mean, there's all kinds of people out there that can help you with whatever your needs are, and they'll adapt it to your physical characteristics.
Yeah, that's really good to be told that just because, we're kind of early on. It's been a
Yeah.
year and a half, oh, not quite early on in this, although it seems like forever, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, but just compared to, what you were saying, you were 6 years into it before you found out. That's
Right.
a long time.
It was a long time.
Yeah. And you have to find things to kind of get you through and be like, well, I'm not gonna. Kevin's recovery just happened it was so incredible how quickly he recovered. He was in good shape. He was a
Right.
runner and, lean and all of that. And I think that it was just there's a deception there where in the beginning they're like, wow, Kevin, you're doing amazing. We haven't seen people like
Hmm.
recover this far, this fast. This is and then it stopped. It kind of
Right.
just didn't he's
He
not getting
plateaued out.
yeah, kind of plateaued. Um and that's super frustrating.
Yeah.
But he's doing everything.
Especially
Every
when
time they
you're
came
on
up
an
to him,
upward trajectory and then all of a sudden you just
yeah.
plateau.
Yeah.
And he would
Well,
do all the extra.
well,
Every
and
time they said, do you want to do one more rep? He'll go, I'll do another rep. You want to do 10 more? He
Hmm.
goes, I'll do 10 more. You want to do,
Right.
and I think that a lot of that was the military training. He
Of
would
course.
push himself because he, you've got something to focus on. They gave him
Right.
something to focus on. And that was, he was just the best patient, they said. Um, but now that it's kind of, well, you got to live your life, it's great to know there can be maybe a little recovery to go get back to the things that he loved to do, like golf,
Yeah. Right.
perhaps. And
Oh
yeah,
yeah, you can golf, you can fish, you can do whatever you did before. Um, Even hunt. I know several blind guys that have gotten bucks.
well,
Yeah, there's a well, through Lonnie, um, there's a thing down in Indiana. They will pay for your trip there. They will pay for you to go out with the group, shoot your buck. They will even have it mounted for you if you want.
kidding.
oh,
It,
that's crazy. That's
yeah, it's
amazing.
Wow.
amazing that
Yeah,
people will do this for you. So it's endless the opportunities that are out there for you.
yeah, that's so good to
So
know.
yeah. So
It's
what other? Go ahead.
no, just to have, maybe some of those glimpses of opportunity where you think there's none. I mean,
Right.
luckily, some of Kevin's vision it's just so inconsistent, but some of it has back. We have a 4-year-old son,
Hmm.
and of course, he's comes up to a little bit above his knee, so to not be able to see him, and he'd run up um, close to him. I mean, that was very difficult. And the strange and unique thing, I guess, is that our son is nonverbal. So he points to pictures in order to communicate. And then with Kevin not seeing, it was a super challenging time. Well, the Hanover County here in Virginia actually authorized our son to get a device called AAC, Augmented and Alternative Communication iPad, where you can point to pictures and they talk. So that Kevin could hear what his son was wanting to say. And that opened up a lot of great doors for us just to communicate within the family.
Yeah.
You know, just never knew that existed before that as well.
Sure.
So there's a lot
technology is advancing every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just boggles my mind how much things have come. And I'm very similar. I was telling Kevin earlier that we have the very similar eyesight. I can't see anything from below my waist.
Oh, okay.
From the waist down, I am totally blind.
Okay.
And what I do see is kind of like a Picasso painting.
Yes.
It's fractured vision.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's what the stroke did to me.
Okay. Okay.
And when I had my stroke, I was totally blind for the first, I guess, couple of days. And, and then I had been in a coma because they tried to get my blood pressure down.
Okay.
And I had to have dialysis because my kidneys were failing.
Oh, wow.
So I have multiple things going on too.
Yeah.
So I had to do dialysis for the first 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And then for the last 5, I was doing, or the last, I don't remember how many, 3 or 4, I was on peritoneal dialysis where I had a tube in my stomach, and that's how they would transfer the fluid from me. But it was a lot easier to do, but I couldn't see to do it myself. My wife had to do it.
Yeah.
Because, of course, can't see anything below the waist.
Yeah.
Right.
And I couldn't go to a BRC until I was off of dialysis. That's why it took so long to go to one, a blind rehabilitation center. But after I went, it was great because I got all these cool things to play with, and it really made life a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I got to meet a whole bunch of cool people.
I bet.
Because I thought I was alone.
Right. Yeah, it is kind of lonely in some ways, you know, or you feel very insulated. You know, we're just trying to get through the day sometimes, you know, with a little kid. We have a 4-year-old and a 16-year-old, and it just trying to fill out paperwork, and I'm working full time, and we're just trying to, you know, bathe, just do some very basic needs things.
Right. Yeah. And it's like we applied for SSDI.
Still have not gotten
It's been a year.
Yeah, I know it takes a while to get that. If it hadn't been for my wife talking to a person in South Dakota, this is where it happened to me in South Dakota. I wouldn't ever have gotten any kind of help.
Really?
Yeah. She talked to a woman at the VA, or she talked to a woman in South Dakota, and she said, go to the VA. They can help you. In the meantime, I will get you started with the paperwork to get your Social Security benefits. And so she contacted my state representative there, and they got the ball rolling.
Wow.
And if it hadn't been for them, I would have been waiting years to get it, they said.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that is the thing as a caregiver, you know, they were out Sheltering Arms where he was recovering here in Virginia. They were amazing at providing the paperwork and stuff. But honestly, I did not. First off, I was still in trauma mode, you know, and just reactionary, and then trying to make sure the household was going and whatnot. And Kevin was going through, and I was there every day. So I made sure somebody, a family member or I, was in there with him every day, every night, because I just didn't want to leave him alone. And
Right.
he was 56 days in. Um, so that's not as long as some, but it was still a long time. And they did provide paperwork, and I just didn't know how to
go about it.
go about it, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So I mean,
It's confusing.
Yeah,
yeah,
very.
it was quite confusing. And
And
yeah, just
God bless my wife. She did it all.
Yeah, me too.
I couldn't see to help her, so I was no good.
Yeah,
And
well,
that's where I started getting depressed
yeah,
sure,
because, I just felt my life is over. I have
right.
nothing to give.
yeah. I feel you
So,
there.
yeah, I know it's something we all go through.
Yeah,
We just handle it different ways. Some guys handle it worse than others, and they end up trying to take their life or end up succeeding in taking their life.
yeah.
I just interviewed a guy named Zach Tidwell, and his wife left him. He 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 was deployed, and while he was on his second deployment, he found out she was cheating on him.
Wow.
So yeah, and then just other things kept piling up and piling up. He lost his job, all kinds of stuff like that. So he tried to shoot himself,
Wow.
and he did not succeed. All he succeeded in was putting a hole in his head.
Wow.
Wow.
But he came out of it, and he's doing really well. He's
Oh,
blind
good.
now because of that, totally blind. But he's a software engineer, and he has created his own app, and it's
Wow.
called Xanagrams, is what it's called. Yeah, you can find it on Apple Apple Apps, the
Uh-huh.
App Store.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
Cool.
on there, and but it's a cool app. It's a word game thing. But like I said, he's totally blind. He taught himself how to code,
So
and that's
cool.
what he did. Yeah, I
That's
mean, so the
technology.
possibilities are endless.
Hmm.
Yeah, one of the things that Kevin and I talked about, like if you can't go back to work, he's an avid reader and he can
Hmm.
read, and there's maybe we can check into more devices that might help him with that. But
Right.
is you said that maybe I could do the suicide hotline and
Yeah,
answer the suicide
yeah,
hotline. And I thought, well, that's coming out of the blue. Tell me, maybe you talk a little bit about that, what you're thinking.
yeah. I thought maybe, I could volunteer at the VA, maybe work on the suicide hotline.
Yeah, I'm sure they need people to do that.
Yeah, just because, I think I have a calming demeanor, and, maybe if I could help one person, that would be totally worth it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Um, I don't know how to get involved with that, but I'm sure they could use the help,
Yeah,
especially volunteer basis.
Yeah.
They're
sure.
always looking for volunteers at the VA.
Yeah,
Yeah. And Kevin, has been through a lot. I think if you're EOD, you kind of have to have a
Right,
calm, under pressure type of demeanor. And he was pretty much built for that.
right.
And
Nerves of
even,
steel.
yeah,
yeah. And even during recovery, I mean, to go completely blind, I'm sure your audience and like out of the blue, if that were to happen, I don't know that I would be freaking out. My eyesight is everything. But for
Right.
him, he didn't. He was so cool. Cool Daddy was what they called him in the military, actually. It was his nickname. And that's how he handled it. I mean, sure enough,
Wow.
his body is going through immense pain and
Hmm.
spasticity issues and going blind. And he was like, okay. And, we've talked a lot about, how do you get through something like that? How do your body physically and just the mental game that is played when and we go back to our faith. I know you said you
Right.
don't want to talk about, religion is
But
kind
that's
of
okay. You
off,
can go ahead.
but for us, our faith has brought us through a lot,
yeah,
and it continues to do so. It's our
yeah. It's what I
center.
lean on
Yeah.
when I have a rough day. I just I just pray, and I'll read the Bible, and it helps me get through it.
Something that
That's
resonates with both of us, and it's something that also, um, is a personal thing,
mhm,
but it's also something that he and I share a lot in our conversations with each other. It's, how things are connected and what are the lessons we're learning from this.
right.
I know one of my lessons is to be more patient. I
Well,
think I
yeah.
was multitasking as a grunt, and then you know what? Sometimes it's just nice to sit down and hold hands. And that's what I missed the most when he was in the hospital, is
Uh-huh.
just if I wasn't there, a family member was there, is I just couldn't hold his hand. That's all I wanted to do.
Right.
That's the part I missed
Well,
the most.
yeah. I tell you, it's amazing how even something this tragic can bring a couple together.
Yeah,
So it just boggles my mind every day to hear these stories from different people. And I'm so glad that I'm doing this podcast because I'm not only benefiting myself, but I feel like I'm benefiting others too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
sure.
Yes, you are, for sure.
So let's let's change gears a little bit.
Okay.
uh, so, what do you like to do as far as your hobbies?
Now I read.
Uh huh.
When it's nice out, we like to go for walks. I can't lift weights or anything because my hand's jacked up, but I still
Yeah.
like to do push-ups just to maintain some sort of strength, I
Fitness.
guess. Yeah, some
Yeah.
sort of fitness.
Yeah. That way your muscles don't atrophy.
Yeah. I like to play with my son in the backyard. He's at an age where he throws everything, so we take him outside to throw balls, and
Uh huh.
um
Yeah.
yeah, we have
You
a
say you
uh,
say your hand is jacked up. Um,
yeah.
is it always contracted or does it?
Yeah, it's my forearm is always on, so my hand it pretty much stays closed most of the time,
Hmm.
except for when I physically open it. And it's weird because the Botox was supposed to relieve it, but it doesn't. I don't.
Hmm.
And everyone tells me, every time I see a new neurologist, they're like, "Yeah, the Botox was a great idea. I'm surprised it doesn't work." And I'm like, "Well, I'm great that you're surprised, but why why can no one tell me why it's not working? It's like
Right.
with the blood clots. Nobody could tell me where they came from. I've had so many tests done. It's incredible."
Yeah. Too many unanswered questions.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what frustrated me also. It's like, well, when they found out that I only had one kidney
Wow.
and it was only functioning at 10%,
Holy
I said,
cow.
well, how did that happen? I was born with two, I'm sure. They said,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, you have two kidneys in there, just one shriveled up.
Wow.
And I
And
said, well, how did that happen? We don't
yeah,
know.
that's crazy.
So I finally got a kidney transplant 3 years ago.
Oh, that's
Yay.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a lot better than I was before.
No, that's amazing. God is good.
All the time. Well, let's see. What else can we talk about? What do you guys want to talk about?
Um, yeah, what was your job in the military?
Oh, I was a dental hygienist.
Were you really?
Yeah,
Wow.
and I was only in for 5 years, 9 months.
Well, that's cool.
I yeah, I signed up for four, and then I was going to stay in as a career airman, but then I had a couple of bad bosses in a row,
Oh,
and
that'll do
just
it.
horrible. Yeah, so I wanted to get out. First, I wanted to cross train, but they wouldn't let me, and
Mm,
I said, well, the career field I want to transfer into is they're critical. They need people.
sure.
And he said, well, we don't want to let you go. And I said, well, I want to go, but they wouldn't do it. So I went all the way to the base commander trying to get transferred, and they wouldn't do it.
Wow. Well,
So I said, all right, I'm getting out.
yeah. When I was in Afghanistan, my window opened, and they wanted me to fly from Kandahar to Bagram to go see the sergeant major, which I don't know if I could say his name on the air, but his name was Sergeant Major Clifford, and he was the reason I left EOD. Guy was a total douchebag.
Yeah, they have them. I tell
Yeah,
you.
yeah, and he was in charge of retention, and it's like, how? Nobody liked the guy. He screwed over so many people. I mean, like we had taken pictures of blowing up some stuff, and we sent it in, and he was looking at it, and he goes, well, from the shadows, it looks like you're not wearing your body armor or your helmet, and he was trying to Article 15 us, and I was like, dude, we're in combat. You're seriously, and I said, that's a 3,000-pound shot. My Kevlar and my helmet would not save me if that went off. I would be a pink mist. You fucking, oh, sorry. You jerk,
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? What are you doing? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
So anyways,
I understand that totally. Yeah.
yeah, sorry for cussing like that.
Oh, it's okay. The show has an R rating. We can do that.
Oh, okay. All right.
I
That's
mean, we're
good.
military guys. We're gonna cuss,
Yeah. Well, and that was the biggest thing about when I first met Toni. Her mom was like, I like Kevin, but he just cusses all the time. And I was like, well, this is Sharon. I was infantry and I was EOD. I mean, that's part of my DNA, at this point. That's just
Right.
who I am.
Yeah,
Yeah. I've interviewed Marines and all kinds of people on here, and there's some pretty bad language,
Yeah.
especially these Navy guys. Navy guys are bad.
Yeah.
I guess that's where the saying came from, cuss like a sailor.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your kid.
Okay.
Exactly what is the problem with him that he's
So
non-vocal?
he was born with hydrocephalus,
Oh, okay.
which is wet brain,
Right.
water brain. So he had to
Yeah.
have brain surgery when he was 3 months, almost 4 months old. So he had a shunt put in,
Uh-huh.
and
Although we don't know if that's really related to the nonverbal part, but we're thinking he's communicating, he's learning, he knows his alphabet, he's great with math
Oh,
already.
wow.
Yeah, and they're working with him, through speech, but he just will not form words. He
yeah,
doesn't say mama, dada, although he's kind of says
yeah,
dada a little bit.
we were teaching him sign language.
The sign language,
Yeah.
and then the device, the AC.
But he was developmentally, he was a little behind, walking and everything like that.
Physical, developmental, but not cognitively.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't, even right now, he tries not to, he'd be laying on the floor, and to push to standing, he has difficulty. He has like low muscle tone.
Uh-huh.
Although, so he has some braces on his ankles, some SMOs.
Yeah.
So he's a full-time job in and of itself.
Yeah.
He's a lot of,
Right.
but he's a sweet demeanor, and he's very calm and focused. I think he takes after Kevin for sure.
Yeah, for a little kid,
he
he can sit for a half hour and just yeah.
He loves books
Yeah.
and reading, books are his things. But we think that he will catch up. I mean, from a school perspective, he's already up to speed on most everything, but some of that physical stuff, and of course the talking.
Right.
Yeah, he's just
Well, that's got to be a burden on you guys.
well, kids
but
are
then-
never a burden.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, the joy that he brings us supersedes any of the difficulty in his delay and his,
Yeah.
I really,
Right.
yeah, I would never, I don't
You
view
wouldn't
it as
trade
a
it
burden.
for nothing, right?
No, huh?
Oh no, absolutely. He was meant to be here for sure. In fact,
Right. Yeah.
so we got married, or we were engaged And then we're like, oh, surprise, you're having a baby. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm too old to have a baby. I was 40.
She's 42 or 43, and I was 42. We're
Oh,
like,
wow.
what?
I'm like, no, I think I'm going through menopause. And like, no.
It's like, no, we're going to be 60 years old when this kid graduates high school. Are you serious?
Wow.
Very much a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that is.
it's
But
been
a
good.
blessing.
Yeah.
It's been a blessing for sure. And it's neat to see Kevin, who thought he was never going to be a dad,
Uh-huh.
become a dad, and that's not something that happens overnight. You grow to be a dad and you grow to be a
Right.
mom, and it's been really neat to see him, and then I have an older son as well. He's 16. So that comes with its own unique challenges for the
Oh,
fact
yeah.
that of his age, but he's ahead of the curve, always has been, and a smart kid, taller than I am, but you know, just such a great helper with the family and with everything. He doesn't question a thing. He's on it. He's so helpful.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
he's getting his driver's license. So
Oh,
that's gonna super help with
oh, yeah,
all
definitely.
of he's gonna want to. I'll go get the milk. I'll go get he's already
Oh,
prepared
yeah.
to do all that stuff.
I remember when I got my license for the first time, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'll go do that for mom. Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
absolutely. Yeah.
I wanna help."
Sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
So we're
exciting.
excited for that.
Yeah.
That's coming up
And
in
since
April.
Kevin can't drive anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's going to be a really great relief for me. And actually, my parents were in Georgia for, I don't know how, since my dad retired from the military in 2003, I think he retired. And they moved up here to help me. They
Oh,
sold their home and all of their property, everything they had, they sold, and they moved up here to help us,
oh, that's
figure things
amazing.
out.
Yeah,
It's
it's incredible.
So you guys have a good support system there.
Yeah, we
We
do.
really do. And Kevin's family's from Iowa, and they've been flying out here. I mean, especially when he was in the hospital, the Browm family, they were out here every second that they could be. And it was amazing I really didn't spend much time with them ever before. So when they got out here, they saw the real deal,
Uh-huh.
when you're going through something like that. So
Yep.
between them and my family, just it's been incredible to have that support.
Wow. So where in Iowa are they from?
We grew up in Davenport.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do you know that area?
Yeah, I do. Um, actually, I had my transplant was in Iowa. It was in
Oh,
Iowa City.
yeah.
Oh
Okay. Yeah, it's a huge medical facility there.
Yeah, and that's a VA hospital right there. That's where I
Nice.
had to go to get it done.
That's
So I
awesome.
spent a couple months there recovering.
yeah.
But I
It's
was
a
in the hospital originally the first time in South Dakota for my stroke for what 3.5 months.
wow.
And I had to learn how to walk again, talk, eat. It was a devastating stroke.
I didn't lose my voice, but I did have to learn how to walk again. That was tough.
Well, and even in your voice right now, like it gets strained, and I do
Yeah.
think they had a breathing tube down his throat,
Right, right.
because he was, unconscious for a little bit, and
Hmm.
I think that there was some damage done to the vocal cords, but not from a stroke perspective, but just from
Right.
that.
That'll heal eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same thing when I had I was intubated
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, it was an induced coma,
Yeah,
Yeah.
medically induced coma, they said.
yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what I had. We have
But
such similar stories. It's
I
crazy.
know
Yeah.
exactly. It's amazing. Um, But anyway, I was not in as good a shape as you were because I didn't bounce right back.
Oh,
Cool.
no. I'm
Yeah,
sure you're doing
I
fine.
had been in the civilian world way too long,
Oh, yeah.
so I was just a bunch of flab at the time. But I did lose 50 pounds while I was in the hospital.
Wow.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah.
I actually quit chewing tobacco. That was
That
what
was
it took me to quit
true.
chewing.
You chewed for how
I'd say
long
for
since the tree, right?
25 years or something.
Oh wow. Did you
That's what
dip or did you chew?
I dipped, yeah,
Yeah,
Copenhagen.
yeah. Oh yeah, the rough stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
gross.
Yep.
unleaded
Yep.
stuff.
Yep. Exactly.
That's
Now, did you swallow or did you spit?
Ooh.
I spit mostly.
Mhm.
I got it some, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did it.
Oh,
I did it for like 15 years,
oh,
uh,
wow.
and I was a dental hygienist.
Oh
wow.
my gosh,
I
right?
knew what it would do to my gums, and I did
Yeah.
it anyway.
Well, and Kevin just had a few months ago periodontal surgery because of that.
Uh
Yeah.
huh.
It destroyed some of his gums.
Right where
And
you
they said
tucked
we,
it in, right?
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
Yep.
it's the best thing that came of this, really, I would say, is that
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
that's a benefit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Always look
recommend
on the
it.
bright side.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would not recommend doing it this way, but if you had to.
That's what I used to say after I lost that weight. I said I don't recommend my diet to anyone.
Right, right.
Sure.
Well, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you guys. I mean, we've been talking almost an hour.
Yeah.
Time flies, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
But like I said, there are plenty of places that can give you the help you need, and I will help you out as much as I can. I will get you started in the right direction, and I'm glad I met you. I'm glad that we got together. I don't know. How
Yeah.
did you find out about the podcast?
Um,
Well, Sherry from the VIST
Uh huh.
from the VA, Hunter
yeah.
Homes.
Yeah, she sent out the email.
We're on the list. We've gone to a couple of the meetings, um, but sometimes I mean we just haven't really. We're not regulars for sure, but I
Right,
am on
right.
the list, and so um I did read the email this morning, and I was like, well, maybe this might be an opportunity just to connect, and if it could help anybody,
Sure.
and we want to
Well,
listen to the blind spot, and we want to learn more about you and what you're doing because this has just been an incredible conversation. It's
Yeah,
been
I
really great.
yeah.
agree.
Well, that's what I like to do is have a good conversation with my guests, and I don't want it to be a formal interview. I just like it to be conversational,
Sure.
and it's been great today. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm sure that this will not be the last time we talk.
Okay.
And again, I will send you all my information every way you can contact me.
All right.
And just don't be afraid to contact me. Don't be afraid to call and ask if you have a question or something.
Sure.
And I'll do my best to help you out. And tonight, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a meeting with the our support group. So I will give you that information after this show is over. Okay.
All right.
All
Awesome.
right, buddy. All right. Well, tell you what, you can just hang on for just a minute while I wrap things up,
Okay.
and then I'll come back to you. Okay.
All right.
Well, folks, this has been another episode of The Blind Spot with Ray Morales. Now, most of you know that you can contact me through my email, and I would love to hear from you. So go ahead and you can write us at email us at the blind spot 29. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. The blind spot 298 at gmail.com. The blind spot 298 at gmail.com. My mind just went into stroke brain. I'm sorry. Okay, so also I want you to follow us, like us, and share us. So just do all those things for me, please. It would really help us out. All right. Well, this till next week. We'll see you.